Are you here for the Wagner or are you here for the 3D? It's the interval of the Victorian Opera's Flying Dutchman, and I'm in the bar of the Palais Theatre quietly marvelling at what I've seen so far. The Palais is all red velvet and gold columns and hard seats. It was built in the 1920s as a seaside picture palace, but now mostly hosts rock bands and comedians. I guess that makes it a modern music hall. Tonight the Palais has gone from cinema into live performance, into something else again for the 21st century. This production takes a heritage art form, I mean opera, and frames the heritage art with digital technology. The Palais has become a different type of picture palace. Anyway, I'm in the bar, I run into an old friend. Actually, since I'm the one leaning into a glass of bubbles, she runs into me. And she asks, are you here for the Wagner or are you here for the 3D? It seems like a very good question. The story of the Dutchman became all the rage in the early 19th century, when Wagner wrote his opera. We're talking the age of capital R romanticism, when nature and terror and passion prevail. The Flying Dutchman would go on to appear in books and songs and films, and in SpongeBob SquarePants. SpongeBob's Flying Dutchman carries a handbag marked Souls, and is very fond of knots.
The monkey chain! The monkey's fist! The monkey! This one here's a loop knot, otherwise known as the poop loop.
Poop! Ah!
There's a film called Pandora and the Flying Dutchman with Ava Gardner and James Mason, which is one of those NQR Hollywood films of the Golden Age. Here the Dutchman has a smart yacht and lands amongst a group of cheechy playboys and bar singers lurking in a Spanish nightclub. The film features car racing, flamenco, bullfights, Ava Gardner singing, art by Man Ray, luscious technicolor, and it's quite bonkers. It was written at a time when, in films anyway, like The Ghost and Mrs. Muir, having a liaison with a supernatural being seemed like quite a mature way to conduct one's romantic affairs. The Sea by Bernard Herrmann from the Ghost and Mrs. Muir soundtrack, sounding a little bit Wagner-esque. The sea is really at the heart of the story. Wagner himself was nearly shipwrecked off the coast of Norway, and this experience inspired the opera. You can hear it in the music. At the time, he was an illegal immigrant, stateless and passportless, trying to get into England to start a better life with his wife and dog in tow. Fortunately, his refugee status didn't stop the notes. That Wagner does with music, the big orchestral sound, the ongoing tension in the chords, his emphasis on mood and emotion, big, extravagant, over-the-top emotion, how he uses mini theme tunes to reference characters and their stories, and how these leitmotifs can be used to create a bigger picture. It's dramatic. Actually, arguably, it's cinematic. And this is a point well made by the Victorian Opera, with the Deakin Motion Lab animations projected in the background. So much for the Wagner. What about the 3D? Is there a point to the animated backdrops? Does the animation fight the performers? Does it fight the set? Does it add anything at all to the experience? I think it does. For a start, the 3D kind of knows its place. It's spectacular, as you would expect, but it doesn't draw attention to itself in a gimmicky way. You don't spend the entire opera trying to dodge fish being flung at you. Rather, you can enjoy its beauty, and there are lots of references to 19th century romantic landscape paintings, and how it works organically with the music and with the drama. One of the glories of cinema is the way it can capture the human face. That's not possible here, obviously, so it uses the opposite glory of cinema, as it were, the wide shot. As I said, the sea is at the heart of the story, and it's the big elemental pictures of sea and sky and weather that really add another layer to the emotional content of the opera. It adds a layer of richness to the experience. The motion capture lets you feel you're on a ship rolling about on stormy waters. You see a spectral figure in the distance, and then it suddenly becomes flesh on stage. Sure, there were times when the action seemed a wee bit repetitive, like being caught in a gaming loop. But to be fair, this is opera, and there's a lot of time spent with people standing about singing at each other. There's not much more to do background-wise other than sit it out. One of the best illustrations of how well the 3D works is at the finale when Senta throws herself in the water. Here are Wagner's directions. She flings herself into the sea. At that same moment, the Dutchman's ship sinks and quickly disappears as a wreck. In the far distance, the Dutchman and Senta, he embracing her, rise from the water, both transfigured. The climactic moment was elegant and affecting. As the music crashed to a close, the ship went down in the distance. You could see Senta and the Dutchman become these ghostly apparitions, and then they turned into the northern lights blazing over the Scandinavian landscape. It was sublime. So, are you here for the Wagner or are you here for the 3D? Why not both?